Ryan always uses the same background every episode. Well, that's not the case anymore because we are changing up the background. Alright, so starting off today, episode 4 with double 4 6 points. I've always had a bit of struggle. I think I have to find out more creative ways to begin here because after starting so weird, I gotta try and make it a little bit more interesting because yeah, I've been just approaching, extending back, doing the usual stuff. And so we're playing a quick Joseki here. Oh, why just extends? Huh? I'm tempted to do the same thing again. Maybe we'll just extend back, see what they do. Just kick. All right. Okay, so finally, they approached our corner, and we always play this one, right? We always play the high double approach in the 3-2 invasion. And just a reminder for those of you just looking at the new opening here, usually white's not supposed to diagonal. I thought that was like a well-known thing, but apparently not, because a lot of my opponents still play the diagonal out because the 3-3 invasion is just too efficient for black. That feels like a really slow move, so I think I just defend my corner. It's not really efficient for white to capture because I can always hunt and connect, and yeah. So, but of course I'm going to pincer first. It just feels like a very small framework there. So they protected, I'm going to slide in. This is a very annoying territory to defend. And I think if my opponent ignores, I can pretty much just descend and connect this back. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I think I misread there. Oh, wow. Good move, good move. I thought I could block, but I can't. Oh, well, we're just gonna have to let that one go. Wow, then I definitely should have just jumped. I was like, what? I thought I could do that. I thought my opponent had to extend for some reason. Oh, I just realized how ridiculous that mistake was. Okay, well, let's pretend that never happened. Luckily, we still have some shape moves that we could play to take advantage of our opponent's poor shape there. Okay. I think we can just play very casually. I feel really ahead right now. All my territories are very efficient, especially on the bottom and the top right. Just really efficient territories. But all my opponent has is the left side, but that's it. The right side, even though they captured our 3 stones, it's really not that big. Okay, so it looks like we're going to start a quick fight here, but there's no reason to be afraid. This attachment is pretty basic Sabaki move, and we're not being threatened at all, so just making the group alive here. Oh, okay. I'm even going to make a pretty big group alive. I think I just connect this one. I can even connect here. I feel like I should expand eye space, so let me just connect here. Oh, I should have haunted first. Oh man. Is my opponent going to start a ko? Am I afraid of a ko here? No, I don't think so. If my opponent Tari, I can just connect. This ko is really heavy for white as well, because if black wins, then white's group is also in danger. So I'm just going to escape here. I'm not thinking really that much anymore because I just feel that if black invades, white's just in a pretty terrible situation. I think I'm just tempted to just... Yeah, I'm just going to make this group alive. Such a defensive move, but this result is just way too good for black. The left side was all white's territory, and with pretty much no consequence, I just got rid of all of it. Well, there's a little bit of consequence, of course, and white's taking advantage of that right now. White's jumping in. It's one of those games where you just don't have to count. It's so obvious that white is just way behind. And they're actually turning. Are they just going to help me defend this? If they Hane, then wow. I was actually thinking they might play a knight's move here, but wow, I just get I just get all of the top right. Okay, I feel like I do need to protect this though, because there's like a diagonal weakness as well. So I just protect this normally. But white has 0 territory in the center. Do I want to extend? Okay, let me just make this Atari so that my opponent doesn't get the reverse Sente. And is there a Hane here? There seems like weakness as well. On the top here. I must be winning by at least 20 points. Okay, if we do capture this, then probably 50. What is this complete blitzing that's going on here? Alright, so at this point, like all of white's moves are just pointless. Because my opponent's clearly not thinking at all about any of their moves. I could have just pulled back because there's no eye on the side anyway. But at this rate, there's just nothing. there's nothing special anymore about this game. It's just, what is my opponent doing? They spent like, okay, to be fair, I didn't really spend that much more time than my opponent. But most of their moves were pretty they didn't really have any tactics. They were unprepared and they were just clearly just putting down the moves. Somehow at 5 Dan, we're still seeing this problem. Anyway, it's time to roll the next opening. Alright, let's see what opening we get. Ooh. Oh, go back here. How can I forget the twos? By the way, if anyone's wondering why the account's called Koichi Open, there are actually multiple Kobayashi surnamed professional players, and Koichi is the one that invented this opening, so hence the name. Now, my opponent didn't let me play it. This third line high pincer is actually quite popular recently. A lot of people have been playing it. So, also with white's attachment, it's very, very standard nowadays with the double high approach. And used to be that white would attach on the other side, but now a lot of people just attach on the other side. So okay, we're gonna play this Joseki. This Joseki is interesting. So white would cut now and black would pull back. It's sort of similar to the other one, but I think black's stones are a little bit better. So black has much more room to move. The variation I'm thinking about is the double approach one, where white attaches in that 3-3 invasion. So in that case, white would get the tiger's mouth and would be able to Atari and capture the stone. And then in this case, white shouldn't block and white should cut and extend out. So yeah, sorry, it's hard to talk about the variation as we play because it's these two variations are quite different. But I can't help from thinking about these two variations and comparing them in this case. So okay, so this is an interesting variation. I believe in this case black gets the outside. Huh. I haven't played this in a very long time. Yeah, so why would descend now? And I guess I would tiger's mouth. Yeah, so what could descend to threaten the cut? What? There's a direct honey? There's a toe here, right? I'm pretty sure white had to descend first because white had to threaten the ladder over here. But I think in this variation, don't I just get everything? Well, because white can't capture black. It's pretty complicated. Nothing too easy. But my instinct tells me that this is not going to be very good for white. This is indeed an interesting variation. White has to connect now. And then black would connect, and white has to jump out, but black could cut first. And I can force white to make this alive on the left before making my own group alive. If that's the case, this is a very good variation for black. Of course, that black can't just descend because white's just going to fix the tiger's mouth, and the outside is terrible, and the corner is tiny. So because of that, the cut is a pretty much necessary move. There's just no other choice for black. Yeah. So white would attach out. I'm pretty sure I can just... I also wanted to extend, though. Extend's probably a little bit too weak for the shape. Is that true? I think I definitely want to Atari in the middle here. Oh, I just realized I should have Atari the other way. Because now if black blocks, there's a cut. I think I played the wrong move. Even though I thought it was the other one. Wait. The Hane doesn't seem that it's working. Wait, why is white playing this way? There's a push and cut here. What is my opponent doing? Okay, I think white just suddenly died again. I don't know why I'm saying again, but white suddenly died. Because if white Hane now at B... A19... This is actually a very interesting variation. If I just live now, the result's actually quite good. But I think if I Hane, it's even better. And the reason is because the corner is in a situation where there is a ko, but probably neither player will start it. But the Hane is so big because the white stone here on the left side is being cut off. That makes the move actually very big because now this is a weak stone, and which means black can expand quite easily if, let's say, black just pincers the stone. But if white connects back, then white just has some territory on the left. And there's not really that much use for this wall. Yeah, so I feel that this is a better variation. Yeah, so I can also just capture the stone on the side now because... Yeah. So now, okay, white starts the ko immediately. That's also a pretty bad idea. Whoa. And white's not even shy of playing a very, very bad ko threat locally. I feel like connecting and capturing about the same. I think I want to capture though because I want the outside to be stronger. This is just like not playable for white. even if I just spent 2 moves anywhere, it's gonna be a terrible result. But I think I'm going to attach. I'll just attach and extend. I feel like this is like a finished game already. White's lower left is so small, and black has a huge wall here. Not to mention black has 3 corners currently. And I can't believe white's trying to just make a wall here. It's facing second line stones. Don't understand. But yeah, I mean, if you think about the trade here, black has this huge wall, and the white stone here is pretty much useless. It's a weak stone. The lower right is completely taken by black. White has under 20 points probably, maybe just 20 points. Oh, interesting. High approach. Should I just attach? Well, I kind of feel like just attaching and extending. Or I can attach and pull back, actually. Yeah, because this Juseki, I get the center. Okay, well, they're going to give me the corner. Yep, so that's just even more local efficiency. And this is sente for me because there's a cut in the middle, and white has to protect that cut. Ah! I can't believe my opponent descended. Oh, they tricked me. They're supposed to Atari. Oh no. I had my mouse there. I was like, oh, come on, you got Atari. If you're confused, the descent is actually Gote, and I didn't have to answer it. But why do I keep doing that? Okay, so I can jump up here to attack the white stone, but I don't feel like I can capture it. So because of that, white's already pretty strong here. So there isn't really a strong reason for me to do that. Maybe I'll just jump out now to threaten the left side. Now I'll just defend the corner again. Black is just so efficient over the board, and really just due to one reason. Just 3 corners. That's really the only reason. I don't get white trying to start another fight here. Black is clearly locally stronger, and there isn't really any foresight on this fight. White's just really weak. And I must say, like, even if White lives, this is terrible. But White's not going to live anyway. There's probably some way of making this alive. There's probably some way of making Black really, really strong and making it alive, but I'm not worried about that at all. This is really, really clear. I'm actually really enjoying the pace of this game. At least my opponent's really thinking about their moves, rather than just like in the previous game. My previous opponent was just playing moves just for the heck of it, almost. And I don't think that's the right way to play any game. Even with blitz games, there's a lot of thinking that goes on within, like, even 10-second blitz games. How you allocate that time is very interesting. Which I think is different from the way a lot of people view blitz games. Like, you just go by your intuition. But I actually view blitz games as something when you actually have to think really deeply about how you allocate your time, because you only have that 9 seconds or whatever, including that reaction time to think about the moves. And how you allocate that time really determines how well you play in those blitz games. Did my opponent really think about it? Because this cut doesn't really help that much. This is not the right place to start a fight, so. And this is sort of what I was talking about earlier. Even if White can live, White would have to sacrifice pretty much most of the outside. Even without this cutting exchange, it would still be just nearly as bad. So right from the start of the fight, I wasn't really worried about White doing a lot on the outside. Looks like White wants to start another ko. I guess White wants to throw in here. That's such a... It's a Kotha that loses so many points. I guess... Oh, no, they cut here. Okay. Yeah, that's a reasonable Kotha. I can connect here because White only has one more. And I have a bunch of local kill threats. Even when White cuts, Black can capture. Because with this Atari, Black can just connect. It doesn't really do much. So as long as locally White's dead, there's nowhere to struggle. Yep, so they had to find that ko threat, but then I can extend one more. And then I can just capture back. So it's still, White's still completely dead. But notice that White exchanged so many moves inside that at this point, if White gives this up, it's such a huge loss. You almost never see high-level players do this, unless they know for sure they're going to win the ko and they're going to win everything back. So definitely don't commit to something like that. Well, the first thing is not to actually start the fight like this, but the second thing is don't continue to try stuff when so it's not going over. Don't be too stubborn, and you just gotta give it up or try to use it for the outside somehow. You should never really just keep playing in one area over here. The lower left variation I'm very interested in. If white hadn't connect this, white could just honey out, and then black would have to live. And that's already a good variation for black because the corner is alive and the middle is actually quite strong. White would end up in gote because white would have to settle the group on the bottom, and then black would get the next move. So I still like this joseki for black. White's proper move is actually to descend first before this hane. So if white descends, black would have to tiger's mouth or connect, and then when white hanes in the corner, black could cut and capture the middle, and then white would get the corner in sente. So I think that is a variation that I've seen before somewhere. I don't know if it's joseki though. I just seen it somewhere. Anyway, very interesting result here, and it's not a result that you would expect from Kobayashi opening. Anyway, time to play the next game. What do we have? 4. And that is the mini Chinese. I don't think I've played that in a while. I'm afraid to turn my recorder on in the beginning now because people tend to just resign and leave so many times when I get black. So I actually rolled a white, and I was going to play, but my opponent resigned. Anyway, so what to do if our opponent plays the 3-4 point is we still make the mini Chinese. Okay, we're going to expand now and go with the flow of the mini Chinese. Oh, okay. So I'm really tempted to do attachment, but I think I'll diagonal. Nowadays, it's really considered like pretty average for black to just play another knight's move because white has a smaller extension after attach and pull back, but it's just so easy for white to settle. I personally don't like that variation at all. So the variation I'm talking about is if black knight's move, white attaching to the 3-3. Yeah, I really don't like that one. Okay, we're gonna go post AI style. So what to do with this group? Well, after black extended, white had to play very light moves, which makes black's corner very efficient. So in a sense, we've already used the fact that we had those stones already, to some extent. And while we can keep attacking, but I think that the next move is probably going to be gote. Let's say like if you jump up, or if we jump back here or something, white's probably just going to ignore. So there isn't really much to gain after that. So when you attack like these big groups, it's important to make sure that your stones are sente. If you attack a gote move, the opening speed it won't be kept up, and it's so important to keep up your opening speed. Playing fast openings is so important. I think that's one of my main takeaways after like AI opening. I guess you could call it a mini revolution. There's been a lot of changes to modern openings, and one of which is that you have to be fast. You really have to take the first move everywhere that you can in the opening to be efficient. Wow, such a solid move. I guess I'll just take the points then. The slide feels quite comfortable. My opponent is such a solid player. I think I should protect. It's mainly because my two stones are also kind of indirectly weak. there are like some moves to pressure it, and if that's weak, then I don't want the lower side to be weak either. So that's what I wanted to protect. Normally I probably would be more inclined to just play elsewhere. Okay, so I feel like the attachment's a pretty big move. I don't want this stone on the side to just slowly die off. I think that would be a shame. Is there something we can do here? I really want to exchange the peeping move before we continue the fight, because I think that might help. And then, what to do after? I kind of had a big brain pause there. I was thinking about the attachment on top. Well, I guess you would say below, but like the attachment on the third line. What am I even talking about? The Atari on the third line, and then there's 2 Atari options after that. But right now I feel like just Atari and connecting should be fine. White spent a lot of moves locally to block off my corner. So I don't really think that I need to keep playing on the second line there. I can just play in the center and play relatively lightly. And I can see this as more of a reduction move. I can force white onto the side, and then I can jump up here to also reduce white's right side, but also expand myself. And this is sort of the last big point in the opening, and I'm pretty happy with taking that. Wow, so calm. Very calm moves. Okay, so what are some of the big moves on the board? We've got the left side is kind of it's relatively strong, but we could still make it stronger. There isn't really too much to expand on the lower side. So this is a point in the game where I'm a little bit I think maybe we should somehow enclose the left side. I'm gonna make an attachment under, despite it's a one space extension and it's quite strong. But I'm gonna use this as a way to try and close off the left side. It will make my 2 space extension a little bit stronger, and I can indirectly increase my potential here on the bottom. Oh, that is a bit surprising, because after extending, white's actually just giving me this Atari. It's not worth it to extend. It's much better for white to simply capture it. So I can see that my opponent is relatively safe, but unfortunately their shape knowledge is a little bit worse. So I'm going to Tiger's Knot, even though there is a cut, because I really want to make sure that white can't go out into the center. If I protect the cut here, then white can still clamp and escape to the center. Right, so my main reason of playing these moves is to make sure that the left side is enclosed and then there's no way for white to go into the center. Okay, so white just played 2 peeping moves. Okay, yeah, so definitely white's going to play a reduction move now after these peeping moves. Oh, another attachment. Now, for these kinds of attachments, it's always better to just honey back and just let them connect back. But this seems like an overplay though. Is white just going to give up the center's 2 stones? That doesn't seem like a good idea. This local shape again is kind of interesting. Oh, white's jumping up. Okay, so I think I will try the cut first. And, oh. Well, in that case, I think I should capture it first. Yeah, it makes the stones stronger. If white connects back, I can still jump back, because the local connection won't be super strong. Yeah, I will have forcing moves if white connects back. Ow, I just hit my elbow on the bookshelf. Okay, but it seems a little strange that white is just peeping and ignoring, because if black spends 1 more move, both of these moves are going to be at least minus 2 points. Yeah, the need to separate white is very strong. Yeah. So right now, when white is separated, white is going to be very weak. That's going to make a huge difference in the fight that's about to follow. Yeah, because notice that, yeah, I've been sort of talking about this lower side a lot, but what? White didn't cut. This cut is also important. Okay, then I will definitely connect, because these 3 white stones are now just floating here. That's a lot different from if white cuts, white creates a black weak group, which then would indirectly make the white group a lot stronger. So now white's just escaping on their own. Okay, I feel like I can force white to the left side now. Oh, but white can knights move. Okay. Oh wait, white didn't knights move. That's the main, well, it is the whole idea that I attach on the left side. It's to make it so that it's a lot harder for white to make such a deep invasion. I feel like my opponent's not very good at dealing with these these shape moves. I mean, in the beginning it was all very smooth and solid. Took all big moves. So white didn't really have any deficit, at least not a big one. But as soon as we started the local shape moves, white kept losing out everywhere. And I guess that's generally the weakness for relatively solid players, is that they are generally less good at shapes and fights. So here I can extend on. I can also pull the stone back, but I feel like extending in the middle is a better way to both prevent the connection, but also this move leaves a lot less forcing moves inside the center. I probably should have pulled the other one. It's a minor detail, but extending one on top of the of the move I played would reduce the white's liberties more, and it would also prevent the forcing move here to the left of the stone where I just played. So if white blocks, I just have to make the turn. This turn is so important for the middle eye space. Yeah, the downside is that white will get this Haning connect in Sente. But in terms of eye space, white already is pretty lacking, I would say. Very lacking. So I do have to be a little bit careful here because the Atari is Sente. So it's not trivial to kill this group. Okay, actually, let's use an overtime and see if we can read out the variation to kill the group. Good exercise for you viewers too. Now, see if you can read this out. It's probably a big 5-dan problem right here. Yep. Now you can see the downside with my turn, because if I didn't turn, white would not have that Sente move. So my turn actually ended up being a move that may let white live because of my earlier, I would say it's a pretty careless move. I think I can just cut now and capture the center. White can still live on the lower side, but I think the territory benefit is already quite good. And I didn't find a move to fully capture white, so I'm just going to take the territory in the center now. Oh, white didn't actually Atari first. That's a pretty bad order of moves. Because had white Atari'd, my push would not have been Sente. Wait a minute. I think white just played a very bad move that they will regret. So I'm not sure why white didn't Atari first, because after the Atari, playing the move that they played in the game would have guaranteed half an eye there, right? The reason why white had to connect there, because, yeah, if white didn't connect the Atari in the middle, wouldn't have been Sente. But right now, because the middle is dead, black doesn't actually have to protect this cutting point anymore. Which makes white dead. Atari Sente, but this is a very, very basic side shape. Yeah, so if you're learning Life and Death, definitely look at all of these different side and corner common shapes. Because, yeah, if you're really good with these shapes, I think you can like easily get to one dan, no problem. These shapes are so important because with any life and death situation, you would just encounter them. And if one player has to spend, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes just to read out the life and death, but the other player just knows it right away, then they're going to have a very big advantage. I think white might try to double Hani and start the Ko, but that doesn't work because black can just connect inside. And plus, I don't think white even has Ko threats. Okay, white has some Ko threats on with the cut over here on the left. But what is white doing? What is this? Upside down tiger smell. That's a very strange move. Now, is this even Sente? Okay, white can jump in, so it is Sente. Well, let's just play this move because I think it's at the best points. I'm even thinking about points now because white is just so dead here. It feels like generally players who are solid lack a little bit of reading skill. And it has to do with the way you play. Because if you generally play solid, you practice those types of like really long reading a lot less than players who just fight all the time, right? So if you can have both, that's such a huge advantage, right? If you can play like such a good opening like this, white played like almost a flawless opening here. Perhaps the only move that I would change, maybe like this move, I would just play a nice move, protect the corner. But this is like almost flawless opening. But I feel like the players who like fighting a lot, they just can't do something like this. But on the other hand, players who, yeah, so the players who fight a lot just fall so much behind in the opening, right? But the players who are really solid fall behind on the reading parts. So if you can do both, then that's like 2 to 3 stones of improvement right there. So you should look into that.